Thank you for staying with us. The world news at 12 begins with the Supreme Court reserving judgment in the petition by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, seeking to void the declaration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as winner of the 2023 presidential election. Justice John Inyang Okoro, who led a 7-man panel of justices of the court in today's proceedings, announced the reservation of the final judgment after taking arguments from lawyers in the matter. Justice Okoro said parties in the matter will be communicated as soon as the judgment date is fixed. Meanwhile, Atiku Abubakar today at the Supreme Court insisted that President Bola Tinubu must be disqualified from the 2023 presidential election. Atiku maintained that Tinubu was not constitutionally qualified to stand for the election at the time he did. The former vice president, through his lead counsel, Chris Uche, a senior advocate of Nigeria, asked the Apex Court to invoke the provisions of the Constitution to annul Tinubu's victory in the election. He predicated his request on alleged certificate forgery and lying on oath. In the absence of outright disqualification, Atiku pleaded with the Justice John Okoro-led panel to order a rerun between him and Tinubu. However, Tinubu, through his lead counsel, Wole Olanipekun, a senior advocate of Nigeria, asked the court to dismiss Atiku's claims of certificate forgery and perjury. The senior lawyer insisted that Atiku's allegations are unsubstantiated and cannot enjoy any probate value until proven beyond reasonable doubt as required by law. INEC, represented by Abubakar Mahmood, also a senior advocate of Nigeria, also canvassed that Atiku's petition be thrown out for want of merit. The APC adopted the position of Olanipekun in calling for the dismissal of the petition. Now joining me to shed more light on this legal issue, we have Barrister Jide Bakare. Good afternoon, Barrister, and thank you for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chama.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you. All right, Barrister, the day that so many Nigerians and even political parties have been waiting for is finally here, and we have gotten the very first, judgment, which is a reservation, in this case by the 7-man panel of justices led by Justice John Inyang Okoro. But for the layman, for those who may not understand, what does it mean that the court is reserving judgment? Because right now it has proceeded to the APM's petition. This is just its judgment right now for the PDP. What does it mean?
A reservation of judgment means that we have heard both sides, and we will now go back into our chambers and consider the submissions of both sides of the case and come to a conclusion and give a judgment at a certain date. So reservation of judgment, the alternative is for them to adjourn to a particular date for judgment. But since they do not know when they will finish, of course they have a time limit within which to finish the deliberating on the case. So they have reserved judgment. When the judgment is ready, they will call the parties and deliver judgment to them. That's simply what it means.
All right then. Right after talking about the PDP case, they then moved on to the case of the APM, after which you expect that of the Labour Party to come next. But then this reservation of judgment, is it to listen to all appeals from all parties? Do they want to listen to other cases first before now giving a direct judgment together for all the cases brought by the PDP, by the Labour Party and by the Allied People's Movement?
Well, that is not cast in stone, if you understand what I mean. But if you go by what the initial tribunal did, they heard all the matters and reserved judgment for this, and delivered judgment on the same day. This would appear to be the most reasonable thing to do, given the fact that the time limit for them to deliver judgment is so short, and they cannot afford the luxury of giving different dates. So we might be in for another very long judgment on the day whenever the judgment is going to be given. But I believe that even if we are going to look at the trend of things, it looks like the judgment is going to be delivered on the same day, but all the appeals will be heard today that was reserved, for hearing the appeals.
All right, then. Atiku has predicated his request for the president's qualification on, alleged certificate forgery. That's the CSU certificate case, and also lying on oath. But the Supreme Court has said that there are conflicting letters from the Chicago State University, that's the CSU, on President Bola Tinubu's certificate. While faulting Tinubu, Atiku had submitted that issues of merit, they should not be determined or pronounced upon what he called the interlocutory stage. Atiku also pointed out that the presentation of a forged certificate should disqualify a candidate for all time, whether or not, no matter the time is presented, whether the time allotted for it has passed or not. But the president's lawyers kicked, arguing that the issue is a pre-election matter, amongst others, and has asked the court to deny, the grant of the application. But then the justice said criminal matters have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt, which has been reiterated time and time again. On this whole certificate case, like Tinubu's lawyers have said, it is a pre-election matter. Atiku is saying no matter what time this is submitted, the court should be able to uphold this. I would like to know, as a legal practitioner, how do you wade into this issue? What would this spell for Atiku's case? This reservation of judgment, what would this spell for Atiku's case in the end?
Well, the unfortunate thing for Atiku's team is that once you allege forgery, which has the connotation of a crime, you must first proceed and prove the crime, and then submit that the conclusion of the investigation and trial of that crime to the court as the basis for disqualification of these candidates. You will note that all the appeals, all the petitions filed and all the appeals lodged in respect of this election was not a case of the petitioner saying that I won the election. It was a case of, even though I didn't win, the person who won should not have contested. And so if you were a Supreme Court judge, you will that will weigh a lot on your mind. It is not that I won, I was cheated. It is that the person who won should not have contested. So the issue of certificate forgery and all of that, the decisions of the courts have been of very different colors, if I may say so. But it is clear that if you claim forgery, you must first prove forgery. There is in the deposition by the CSU registrar, he never said, he could not have even have said that certificate was forged. All he could say is that I cannot identify this certificate. Upon investigation, two things are possible: that it is proved that it was indeed issued by CSU or an affiliate. We have heard stories, although I don't think it is a proof. There is a proof in court that it was actually issued by a third party vendor, as has been mentioned. But the two things are possible upon investigation to say that indeed this certificate was not issued by the CSU or by any of its affiliate or of its affiliates or vendors, or that it was actually not issued on site at CSU, but it was probably issued by a vendor or a third party authorized to do so. Don't forget, the date of these things put a lot of pressure on makes it a bit difficult for you to say with certainty. And the fact that the American system, the American university system, is quite different from ours here, makes it difficult for some of us to understand. Because if today I need a reissuance of my certificate, all I need to do is to go to my university or to the law school, and a new one will be issued to me upon satisfying certain criteria. But we have heard a lot of exposition has been done on this to show that in America, what is the premium is paid more on your transcript rather than your the certificate itself.
Okay,
the converse is the case here.
with the Supreme Court saying there are two conflicting letters from the CSU, one authenticating the certificate, another one discrediting it, and they don't know which one to rely on. At the end of the day, final words, how will this impact again on Atiku's case?
That would seem like a final blow to the Atiku's case, because in the face of two conflicting reports from the same source, the court will regard both of them as unreliable. Do not let me be in contempt of court. I am not reviewing the case of the body. I mean, that will seem to me speculating that the final blow has been dealt to the Atiku's case in respect of this certificate.
All right then. Thank you so dearly, Barrister Jide Bakari, for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon. I really appreciate your presence, your input, and for shedding light on these legal issues. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Also in the studios today, we have Mr. Moses Adebayo, a political and social affairs analyst and a commentator. Good afternoon, Mr. Moses.
Chioma, the smiling Chioma, good afternoon to you.
Thank you so much for joining me. We really needed to get a legal perspective on these issues, and then we can go on to talk about this. But I would like to ask, is this what you were expecting, though?
We waited with bated breath.
We did.
But only that our suspense has been maybe a bit punctured. But there is always another day to listen and to hear their verdict. The season we are in is a most interesting one. Look, Nigeria will still stand after the verdict. Truth is, these three men, I keep saying, they've written their names in the hearts of as many. They've written their names in the hearts of as many people. I will contend again and again that we give Nigeria the room to exist after now. I'm not going to sit here using the legalese or their terms. Barrister Bakari does that, but in the layman's language, what happened today in the courts only tells that possibly they want to harmonize all these verdicts, bring them into one. Don't forget, it's a case of APM, Labour, and PDP having different cases against the incumbent. So let's give the Supreme Court the benefit of the doubt, because right now there is apprehension everywhere. Will they do this? Will they not do that? They've said that they go by the merits of the case before them. So let Nigerians not sit in our parlors, wherever, and think we can do their job better for them. No. Again and again, Nigeria will stand. Will surely stay after now. If the president is removed, good. If another president is installed, if it's maintained, so be it. What I am after is Nigeria should remain after now.
All right then. So there is a new development. You know that after hearing the case of Atiku and the PDP, the Supreme Court went on to the case of the APM, the Allied People's Movement. While in a dramatic turn of events, they've actually withdrawn their petition against President Tinubu and Shettima at the Supreme Court today. The APM had said that Kashim Shettima, Vice President Kashim, who later became, Vice President to President Tinubu, allegedly engaged in double nomination, making the president's candidacy unlawful and unconstitutional. They held that the withdrawal of Kabiru Masari, who was, regarded as a placeholder then as initial vice president candidate, was unknown to any law in the country. But right now they have withdrawn their petition. They've withdrawn their case after, answering several questions. And what does it say to you?
Well, for real, I've never taken that of APM too seriously, because were they really in the race? The only other two candidates, Peter Obi and Atiku of Labour and PDP respectively, are the ones we are all thinking about. Really.
So you never took the APM case serious?
Not too seriously. Who even their candidate? Can I remember? They even never fielded any candidate. But the true serious issues have to do with Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. But then I think, as usual, the media, you guys in the media are always the punching bag. I think it's about time you guys educated everyone involved. I'm talking of the Nigerian society now, because over time there have been different or conflicting reports. How do I mean here? Our fan base, our supporters, our voters, whatever, across the country now, there are things they think is the ongoing issue in court. Sometimes what their candidates are actually, or what they filed, may be different from how or what they know or believe is what is ongoing. Atiku, for now, is pleading on the ground of disqualification. He was not even fit to run in the first place. But you ask an average person out there, what do you think Atiku is? Why is he in court? And you get to hear that, maybe because his mandate was stolen. And I know what I'm saying. Because I feel the pulse, and my education is yes. And I have students that are undergraduates who have attained the age of voting. And some of them, even the last time, the youth, they trooped out in their millions. So these are people that sometimes I ask them just across board, what do you think is ongoing? Oh, do you think this is the case? Atiku is this or Peter is that? I say, look, that's why I'm not concerned that the media should please educate everyone thoroughly as part of your duty to the nation. Tell everyone the merit of the case filed in by Atiku, the one Tinubu is defending, and the one Peter Obi is running after, so that when the verdict comes up, they won't think that, oh, maybe there was a miscarriage of justice. I think it's incumbent that the middlemen now, the media, should do this a lot to tell the world and the people all over that this is why Atiku is in court. This is why Tinubu is fighting back. This is why Peter Obi is fighting. In court,
because they are all there for different reasons.
Yes, so I can sense that over time, it's
all been lumped together.
Yes, that's the right word down, and so that no one will say, oh, there is foul play. Because if I go by what I had at the tribunal, it's obvious that some people were disappointed. How? We thought this was what they went to fight for in court. We thought, and we don't want to work with conjectures. We want to work with facts as presented by the media. After all, that's your role. You educate, you inform, and you entertain. This time, educate us properly so that we know that, oh, this is what actually happened. This is why they're in court, and this is the reasonable verdict.
All right. While Barrister Bakari was speaking, he spoke about how this case may end very soon. You know, like judgment may be given maybe on as it is today, or it may stretch, just like, you know, they may use up all the time that they have. But then the newest development is that after, you know, the APM withdrew their petition, the Supreme Court has actually adjourned the PDP and the Labour Party's appeal after this withdrawal to a date that will be communicated later on. At the end of the day, what really does this, you know, say to you? Is this expected? Is it something that we should be happy about? Are they going to sit back and deliberate?
As I've said, even among the court of public opinion, no one will really take APM that seriously. But the other two cases, I think they have cases. That's why they've pursued it to the very end.
But the APM also pursued to the Supreme Court.
They knew from day one. Look, a lawyer friend of mine, one barrister like that, and a respected one for that matter, said sometime he feels that lawyers, they feed on people's misfortune, as in their own fortune is some people's misfortune. And I think I hold on to that. Sometimes our lawyers tell us all manner of things they think we want to hear. Whoever was behind the APM case, it was dismissed easily from the electoral law of 2022 that was amended now. They separated clearly what it means to be an aspirant and what it means to be a candidate. So it was no doubt. That's why readily when they gave the verdict on September 6th at the presidential tribunal, easily they dismissed of APM. That it was not a case of, it was not a candidate, it was an aspirant, and it is a party issue for them to decide who their aspirant will be. If a party member, as an APC member, had come up now, maybe has the case, but not you, APM, because APM is different from APC. So they easily dismiss that. I'm sure they know this, and even approaching the court, I hope they will not even be fined for wasting time of the court, because that we've not had. Because sometimes they tell you that you don't bring these frivolous cases. You know that you have no case here. But for Atiku and Obi, all they raised, there are reasons to consider them again and again. And by virtue of their weight, the weight they pulled at last election, you can't dismiss what they are presenting. No, you can't. So that's why their cases will still stand. Look, all in all, as I've said, I think the suspense gets heightened by the day. By virtue of what has happened today, they've postponed the reserved judgment. But there is nothing coming from the sky that is not accommodatable on the ground. They will give the verdict. I just hope these men, these amazing men, these men that have given us reasons to increase our political lexicon, will come to see themselves as still Nigerians. Sometimes you thrive because you borrowed most of what your opponent said. If I go by the slogan of the former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi, from consumption to production, no doubt, if we are going to be a serious country at all, we must start producing. So it's not wrong if whether Tinubu after they are both Nigerians. And let me say this. I think the the legislature must do this as soon as they can. It's about time we did away with this tussle after every election. Let there be a strict law crafted that once you win, before you are sworn in at any level, because we can be spared of this headache. Sometimes the man sitting on the throne or on the chair, the incumbent, is not even certain. That's why many of them are cautious. When the cases are still in court, they do virtually nothing, because knowing that If I do this now, what if it's an effort in futility? So it's natural. The only panacea for this will be if there is a law that makes it, before you are inaugurated, whether as a governor, a president, or even a local government chairman, because this one's wield executive powers, you must have settled everything litigious. Otherwise, they don't swear them in. I think that's what they should do, and will save us all this suspense.
So with a law like that enacted, if we have something like that in the constitution, we won't be going through all this back and forth we're going through right now.
Because I can sense from your body language, and not only you represent so many out there, the reserve judgment or not again. I was excited this morning.
But that's what happened. That's what they did.
And the
newest development now is actually now the adjournment to another date.
And really, if we have a law in place that negates all this, it will be needless to go through all this torture. Because to some people, I can imagine what some newspapers would have. I mean, of course, maybe the copy editor will be thinking of, by tomorrow this will be a landmark headline. But what has happened? Again, postponement. But look, everything will be settled before the end of this year, because 60 days from September 6th is almost due. So we'll get to know. Well, let us take our time. Let judiciary do what is right. Let them do what they know that in future they can point out that we did what was morally right. We did because our conscience was at stake, and we did because we are the Supreme Court. After the Supreme Court, nobody goes anywhere again. So all in all, let the legislature ensure that there is a law that will stop all this. We can't afford to go through this every 4 years cycle. No.
Was it a heavy expectation? Maybe expecting them to conclude everything today?
Not really. Of course, today they wouldn't have given any verdict today. But at least they've not been too decisive. Now they reserve till when? They didn't sound definite. They didn't sound as though they want us. They were not going to give the verdict today. No. But at least today we knew from last week that today they are going to really open the window to consider what Atiku is asking. But not giving us a definite date of what will come after that is what I don't get comfortable with. Because as I said, emotions are bubbling all over. Will they accept the fact that, okay, this is a fresh case and dismiss it because it said that the Supreme Court is not a trial court? Whatever happens at the lower courts by way of appeal or federal high court or state high court now is what they only evaluate. They consider how the courts below them went with the laws of the land, how compliant were they with the laws of the land. That's what they do. But Atiku is arguing, and on some grounds that in some extrajudicial cases now, there are certain rules that will compel the Supreme Court to accept evidences, not as though it is new. It's a legal, what do you call it, log jam. It's their field. They know how to go about it. But today, as I've said, the fact that there was no definite judgment or definite verdict, maybe it's a bit of still deflating our balloon of expectations. All
right. Atiku says presentation of a forged certificate should disqualify a candidate no matter what time it is presented, whether it is inside or outside the time allotted for you to present your case. But the Supreme Court is saying, look, the CSU were given they issued two different statements, they issued two different certificates, and we don't know which one to follow. If you recall, Barrister Bakari said that this would impact negatively on Atiku's case, because right now the court would not, since they don't know which one to follow, they would assume that both of them, there is a problem with both of them, and would probably, based on speculation, not admit any of them into evidence. Again, I ask, was this what you were expecting? And I would also like to get your final words on this whole Atiku PDP situation at the Supreme Court.
It's not for fun that we hear this legal maxim that you have to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt.
As the Supreme Court has said also.
Once there is any iota of doubt injected into your case, then you stand almost, your chances they become slimmer. Once as in doubt is injected into the case you presented, then you're on shaky legs. Well, at the risk of sounding giving a verdict, because we should not prejudice what is in court already, it lies with the Supreme Court to look at all cases presented before them and go with the laws of the land. If Atiku is presenting a fresh case, as they deem it as a fresh case and they can't accept it, so be it. But if on the grounds of, this and this are the reason why you should admit this, not because they're entirely new, but this, so be it. All in all, Nigeria will stand. I say again, Atiku, Peter Obi, Bola Tinubu, you are all capable. Only that at every point in time, we can only have one president. But I maintain, the who does not make the monk. Your impact in life is not necessarily because you occupied an office. Your impact in life is because the fact that till date, I had a younger brother then who served in Anambra State, and he said some glowing things, because that was when Peter Obi was governor. So who says that until Atiku becomes president, before he becomes a name that will remember forever, or Peter Obi, who says that Bola Tinubu becoming the president today may not even tarnish whatever he has been he had before, because some people get to office and all the modicum of respect they had before entering office, they get them destroyed. In the 80s, Robert Mugabe was a darling to everybody in the world, but because he overstayed his welcome, Robert Mugabe died almost a sorry man. Same for Museveni in Uganda. They went in as activists, well respected. They fought for the freedom of the people, fought in court. But as president, they damaged every reputation they had. So sometimes your office may even be a poison for you. So all in all, Supreme Court, thank you for making us just wait again. We'll wait until justice is done and seems to be done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses Adebayo, for joining me on the World News at 12 this afternoon. I really appreciate your patience, your presence, and your input. Thank you so much.
Ijeoma, you are someone who loves what you do, so I always encourage that.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Still on the world news at 12, the Zamfara state government has presented some evidence against the immediate past administration in the state led by Alhaji Bello Matawale, who is now the Minister of State for Defense, in relation to the Gusau International Cargo Airport project. Matawale had last Friday denied the allegations of embezzling billions from the Zamfara Cargo Airport project. In a statement issued in Gusau on Sunday, the spokesperson to the Zamfara Governor Suleiman Bala Idris said that the response by Matawale exposed a blatant violation of trust, opening a Pandora's box. According to him, the bad financial situation the current administration met in Zamfara state was caused by the past government of Bello Matawale. He alleged that the former governor directed the Ministry of Local Government to withdraw 1 billion naira from the local government joint account on October 25, 2021 and to pay 825 million naira to the contractors therefrom without any valuation. He said this was in complete disregard of due process. The statement maintained that the claim that payments were made to the contractor solely based on certificates issued by the supervising ministry or agency was false. It also stated that 3 payments made to the contractor were not based on an accurate assessment of the work done and certified by the supervising ministry. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has cautioned political parties against spreading fake news ahead of the November 11 governorship polls in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State. Chief Press Secretary to the chairman of the commission, Mr. Rotimi Oyekomi, said this in Abuja. Oyekomi was reacting to a statement by the Social Democratic Party, SDP, that INEC was configuring the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS machines at the Government House Lokoja with the intention of manipulating the state governorship election. The electoral umpire stated that the story is untrue, as the 3 persons mentioned are not associated with the configuration of the BVAS machines and are not even in Kogi State at the moment. He therefore advised the public to disregard the story as fake news, saying that the configuration of BVAS was done simultaneously and exclusively in INEC offices in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi by teams deployed from the national headquarters, Abuja. At the same time, the commission appealed to political parties to desist from engaging in malicious rumor mongering of this nature. In a recent development, the Lagos state government today sealed up the popular Alaba market located in the Ojo area of the state. This came exactly a week after it reopened the Mile 12 market last Monday. The Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, said the Mile 12 market was reopened after a thorough assessment covering various aspects of environmental compliance, waste management practices, and general cleanliness within the market. He noted that issues critical to the environment, public health, and safety were not negotiable, as the government would not watch helplessly as those values were compromised and eroded by the conduct of a few people. While announcing the closing of the Alaba market, Wahab, on his ex-official handle, posted that the market had been sealed up for poor waste disposal practices, failure to pay their waste bills, and gross environmental sanitation offences. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 923 FM. And now to news on the foreign scene. Israel says it hit 320 more targets in the Gaza Strip, while Palestinian authorities say homes were hit without warning. Israel's defense minister says the campaign could take 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, but at the end, there will be no more Hamas. He also hints at the ground attack, but says before Hamas meets the tanks and infantry, they will know the shells from its Air Force. The Israeli military says a soldier was killed inside the Gaza Strip while carrying out a raid. In Gaza, another 14 aid trucks arrived on Sunday, but the UN warns that much more is needed. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says the situation in southern Gaza is so bad as people are returning north despite Israeli military warnings. Now to wrap up the world news at 12, here again at the top stories. The Supreme Court has reserved a judgment on Atiku's application seeking to present fresh evidence. The Zamfara state government has tendered evidence on how ex-governor Matawale lavished billions of naira on cargo airport project. Lagos State has sealed Alaba market over gross environmental sanitation offences, and the INEC has cautioned parties to desist from spreading fake news about off-cycle elections. On the foreign scene, Israel hits hundreds of Gaza sites as it warns campaign may last month. And that is a wrap on the world news at 12. My name is Ijeoma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM for coverage of your live events and brand news mentioned on the news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Please stay tuned. Matters comes up next.